This is the Personal Branding Success in 10 Minutes podcast. I am your host, Kaitlin Zhang. Joining us here today is Rachel Vogeleisen, an extremely talented portrait photographer who also specializes in personal branding for women. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Kaitlin. I'm really delighted to be here today.
Tell me a little bit more about yourself and your business.
So as you explained, I'm a portrait and personal branding photographer. I specialize working with women, and I have a studio in Brixton, so I'm located in London. My main is really to help entrepreneur, personal brand, really to help them connect with their ideal audience with personal branding photography.
Excellent. How did you get started in this? Have you always been a photographer?
No, not really. I have a career I worked in sales and marketing, account management, but photography was always a passion of mine. And it took me a long time to finally decide that this is what I wanted to do. So I decided to go back to university, did an MA in fine art photography, and I discovered that I loved photographing people. I was really taken by people. When I was at university, I had a project about photographing women who served during World War II. So I went traveling around England, and I met these women in their 90s, and they were a bit horrified because I wanted to photograph them. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm too old, you can't photograph me. But I think at the end of the day, they were so happy that somebody was interested in their story. Mm-hmm. So I went to see them, we had testimonials, they talked about what they did, and then I photographed them. And these portraits, I think, were really meaningful for them. So it was an amazing experience. Yeah, it was.
Did that experience surprise you in any way about photography? Is this sort of what you thought?
First of all, I think when these women, they said, oh, I don't want to be photographed. I'm in my 90s. You can't photograph me. I was a bit, I thought, oh my gosh, how I'm going to approach this? How I'm going to convince them that it's worth to have a portrait. And I think what I discovered is really having a portrait of yourself is really about the purpose and the message that you want to put out there. I think it's about forget about yourself. But think about what you want to do with this portrait, what you want to say about it, and maybe it's going to help someone, or it's to share a story. It's really, I think it's much more than just about you. I think it's really what you want to put out in the world.
Oh, that's really wonderful. What is the message then for that particular project? What's your core message?
Yeah, the project was really about these women because not much had been told about it. I discovered that some women were flying airplanes, which I didn't know at all. They were not allowed to fly abroad, but they were ferrying airplanes. So some of them didn't know how to drive a car, but they knew how to fly an airplane. So yeah, it has been, and these women in a bit as well. At the time they were quite happy to volunteer to get away from their mom at home. So
that's such an interesting story.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, when I learned that. Yeah.
And then now, what kind of clients do you mainly work with?
I mainly work with entrepreneurs, personal brands. So it can be either coaches, it can be people helping to do training, but it can also be designers. It depends. It depends what the people want to tell with their personal brand.
Why do you think it's important for them to have an excellent profile photo and also maybe a series of photos?
Let me ask you a question. So how do you feel when you visit a website and there's absolutely no picture on the website?
Yeah, not very memorable.
Exactly. And I think I've been visiting too many websites where I really had to fish out for a picture what the person looked like. And I think we're living in a visual world. So it's really about, this is really the first step to connect with your ideal audience. And you only have 7 seconds to impress and to make a first impression. So make sure that at least you have an engaging image, an engaging profile. So people want to know more about you and connect with you. That would be the first step, definitely.
So what type of people could benefit the most from this? I imagine not everyone really needs to put their photo if they're doing, I don't know, some kind of corporate thing that doesn't necessarily need an individual, or do you think that's always beneficial to have?
I think because we live in a visual world, and at least the first thing, of course, not everybody is going to need a full personal branding photo shoot. Some people might just need a headshot, but as explained, you want something that is engaging, that is inviting you to connect. We like to put a face on, and we are connecting with people. So we definitely want just at least if you just can see a face, that would be the first step. But personal brands, I think entrepreneurs, it depends, but everybody can benefit from a personal branding photo shoot. It's really about, as I said, either you just create a profile to create a first impression and a connection, or otherwise you can have a much more developed photo shoot where you just want to share a story, a visual story. And nowadays we know that we're connecting via emotion and storytelling, so you can tell a story with words, but you can also tell a story with images. And I think this is really your opportunity to share something out there by saying much more about you, about your brand, about the client process, about the services. So if you have the opportunity to do that, it might be really beneficial for your brand.
How do you tell a story with visuals? Do you use props? Do you choose interesting locations? How do you do that storytelling?
Yeah, it's really about when I take a client on board, we work together to understand their brand. First of all, it's really important that they have clarity about what their brand is, but also what they want to say. Why do they want this photo shoot? Is this something specific? Are they going to have a feature in a magazine, or are they working on a brochure? What do they want to say? But maybe they need more images for their social media. And when you say how I work with them, definitely, the props could be if they're selling product or services. We definitely want to create a story around that, because when you do, they might need much more than portrait. They might need some detailed shot for social media. They might need some images to illustrate their blog posts or even their newsletter. Maybe selling their services, their product, and also location. Maybe if they work from an office, or maybe if they work from a shared office, they might want to have some pictures there. But also maybe to say more about themselves, and if they're happy to share a little bit about their private life or their lifestyle, which is gonna show a bit more of their personality. So it's really we do quite a background work when we work together to really understand what the brand is, the message, the type of client they work with, and then I work from there and I create a schedule for the photo shoot.
What are some interesting examples that you've done in terms of the storytelling aspect?
I think recently I was really lucky, but I worked with a brand who was doing free from desserts. So we spent the whole day creating images with food. We had styling images, and then she brought in some models. She brought in some models to create the experience, to show the experience. And then at the end, we did some photo shoot of her. So it was really, it was a full-on photo shoot that day. And there was a lot of preparation. There was a lot of involved. And also the food had to be ready for the photo shoot. But not every photo shoot is going to be like that. But it's just an example to show you what we can work on together.
I know that food styling is important, but did you get a chance to try any of the food?
Yeah, I love the food because it's she made me try the food definitely, and she does amazing dessert, and they're free from everything. So usually this type of dessert can be quite bland, but this time, they're really delicious, and I was really happy to work with her.
Oh, that's one of the things I think. For me, as a personal branding consultant, I'd love to work with some chefs one day to help them with their brands, just because I want to try out their food. No other reason.
That's really amazing. Yes.
That's totally true. That like telling a visual story is going to create such a big impact for brands like that. What about people who are kind of starting out in their careers a little bit? Do you think that they should wait until they've been established in a certain way, or do you think that they can benefit right from the beginning?
Yeah, I think it's, as I explained, I think it's really important to understand what your brand is. If you're not really sure what your brand is, if you don't have clarity about who you're serving, what type of client you're serving, what your services are, what makes you unique, maybe it's best to wait. I would definitely recommend maybe at least having just a headshot. And then you can come back and say, I have much more clarity about my branding. I really understand who I am serving now. It's different from this and that. Because also during your photo shoot, you want to put a little bit of your personality, but also your brand personality, maybe understanding if your brand is more formal or corporate, or if you want to walk away from that. So I think this, even just for a headshot, it might be helpful just to understand what type of style of clothing you want to wear. If you're much more formal, maybe you can just add a little bit of jewelry to make it to make you stand out, so it doesn't look too formal. But yeah, I think it's also important to understand that. So somebody is not too sure at the beginning, I would definitely recommend do a little bit of research, understanding, having clarity about their brand, and they can definitely just start with one headshot if they want to.
Have you enjoyed building your personal brand with us? We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a review with your podcast provider.
That's right, Danielle. Positive reviews help us build our brand so we can keep creating quality content for everyone. What are some advice about like clothing, accessory, makeup, hair? How does it normally work? Do the clients come to you with ideas, or do you suggest ideas?
Yeah, what I like to have a conversation with my clients. I have a concert. Even before they book with me, I invite them to have a consultation, just to make sure that they're happy to work with me. I'm the right fit for them. And then if they come on board, we're going to have a styling and concept consultation. And there, I definitely recommend, even if it's just a headshot, that they share some images on Pinterest. So I really understand what type of images they want. Maybe they just want portrait, but maybe they want banner images. So I think it's important to know about that.
Yeah.
And then also we have a conversation. I send them some recommendation about the styling, what to wear. Definitely recommend more plain colors and to avoid graphics. The style of clothing is super important. I think it's super important that you wear clothes that you love, because it's going to make you feel much more confident. I don't recommend anyone to come to photoshoot and say, oh, I brought this, but I don't like it. No, I don't want to see that. Because when you wear something that you love, you really feel confident. And I think that makes a difference when you're standing in front of the camera. And as I explained, definitely with your brand, if your brand is not really, if you want to walk away from the corporate style, try to find something a bit different. Even maybe if your brand is formal, you can just add some accessories, maybe some really standout jewelry is going to make it stand out and make you forget about the formal clothing. Yeah, this is really something that we discuss. I also have recommendation about, the hair. Definitely have a manicure before a photo shoot.
Really?
Think about if you're showing your hands, depends if it's a headshot, not so much, but look at your eyebrows. I wouldn't recommend having drastic hair changes. Having a drastic haircut. These are all things that are basic recommendation, and also choosing about the right clothes. And if you have a personal branding photo shoot, you definitely want to have more than one outfit. If it's just a headshot, it's fine if you just have one outfit. So this is all the details that we discussed beforehand. So I really want my clients to feel comfortable when they come in the studio, and not if everything is prepared beforehand, I think you're going to be much more comfortable. Really to understand and knowing what to expect when you arrive.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Having a really dramatic haircut or like completely different makeup to what you normally wear is in some ways sort of a misrepresentation of the person, because that's not what you really look like on a day-to-day when you meet other people. I think it should be a little bit more closer to what you normally look like. That's my opinion anyway. And also less stress, right? You don't want to have a really bad haircut right before a photo shoot. That's very stressful. So what are some misconceptions about photo shoots that people kind of do wrong? What are some kind of things that...
I think the misconception is really a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to arrive, there's nothing to prepare, but I'm going to be a bit demanding. I'm going to ask, I want my clients to be a bit of a homework, because even as I said, for headshot, I want to understand if you want a landscape portrait, I would say horizontal banner image, and I only give you portrait images, we're going to be in serious trouble to add some background. So this is really important. So the misconception is thinking, I have nothing to prepare, I just arrive. But to get the best return on investment on your photo shoot, I think doing this work, having this conversation together is really, really give you the best images for your brand, and really the images that are going to work for your brand. Because if you just come in, you don't know what you want, you're just expecting the photographer to do everything, and you don't really have a communication or conversation beforehand. You might have great images, but then you think, oh my gosh, but I need images for this. I didn't think about it. Or I wanted something a bit more personal or showing a bit of more of my personality. So this is really an opportunity to make sure that the clients are walking out of the studio with the images which they can use for their brand, and they know exactly what they're going to do with it.
Yeah. One thing that I found with my clients is when they're going for a photo shoot, I often suggest that they have at least one or two behind the scenes photo as well. That could be useful in social media later on. I think that's something that's often forgotten. They don't, I don't know, people just love behind the scenes stuff. So having a bit of a video, a bit of a photo of like, oh, I'm doing my photo shoot today. It's quite fun, I think, quite lighthearted. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Behind the scenes is great because people love to have a story. They want to see what's going on. And it's also a way to show a bit more of your personality, to be less formal. I think it's really a way to show who you are, how you're interacting, and people can just imagine meeting you and working with you.
So you're based in Brixton, in London, and your most of the clients are probably in London. For our kind of listeners who are elsewhere, what are some suggestions for choosing the right photographer for them?
Choosing the right photographer, I would definitely recommend that they look at the website, the photographer's website. First of all, are they doing any personal branding portraits? Are they doing any headshots? And also about do they like the style? Do they like what they see? Would it work with their brand? And also if they give them an opportunity to have a conversation. I know not everybody does want to have a conversation, but if they offer that, a complimentary consultation, because if you don't know the person, if you don't know the photographer, I think it's nice just to build up some relationship by having a conversation, and then they can decide, oh no, I don't want to work with this person. Oh yes, I had a really good feeling. Let's work together. So it's really about, doing a little bit of research, making sure that they like the style, that this photographer is specializing in the area they want to, and having a conversation.
How important is chemistry with the photographer? Is it necessary, or can you have an excellent photographer, but you don't quite feel a chemistry with them, but can they still produce excellent photos? What's your kind of perspective on that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is about trust. And that's why I like to have conversation with my clients, because I think if people don't know you, they come into the studio and honestly, it's not natural to have a photo shoot. And a lot of people have a fear when they stand in front of the camera thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? So if you already have this kind of relationship beforehand, you did all this work together, the people are going to arrive in the studio much more confident. And then it's really about trusting your photographer. I think letting go of the fear and letting go of thinking, oh my gosh, how do I look like on camera? It's more about thinking, what are these images going to give to my audience? What can I share? What do I want to say with these images? What is the message behind it? I think it's a little bit taking yourself out of the picture and really thinking, these images are going to help me to connect with my ideal audience. These images, I'm going to invite my audience to talk to me or maybe to connect with me. And also with the photographer, you don't necessarily need chemistry. I think it's my job really to put somebody at ease in front of the camera. It's really, I think that's the photographer's job, to put somebody at ease and really tell your clients that they don't need how to pose. They don't need to do anything. It's really about the photographer to put the client at ease, to make sure they get the best pictures and really try to loosen them up a bit in front of the camera.
Do you have any tricks to get someone to loosen up if they're feeling really nervous or really not very confident?
Sometimes it's just to not look at the camera, maybe look down and I count 1, 2, 3 and look at me. And it's really have a continuous conversation. And it's really about telling them they're doing a great job. It's really about telling them how to pose. It's really, it's being there, having a conversation. I think the worst thing that you can have is really standing in front of someone or with a camera and not talking, and the person might be thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing it right? She doesn't say anything. I don't know, what is this wrong or anything. It's really giving a lot of feedback and really reassuring them that they're doing a great job, and just helping them to pose and being there for them.
I've done photo shoots before. I think that feedback is so important. Even if it's not going to be the picture that we end up using, I still want to know, like, we're doing great, things are going well. That just puts my mind at ease a lot and not having to worry too much. It often takes at least 20 shots to get perhaps one good image. So I've been recommending this like 20-1 ratio to people, that like as a bare minimum. I don't know what your thoughts on that is. Maybe a professional from a professional, what do you think?
I've never thought it about this way, about the ratio, but definitely we take a lot of pictures, because it takes a little bit of time, first of all, to get confident into the photo shoot. So at the beginning, people are always much more nervous. So I think it just takes a little bit of time, but I wouldn't say I would know about the ratio, but it's
I think sometimes there is an expectation that come in, snap, like take 3 pictures, one of those is going to be good enough. I kind of feel like that's really unrealistic sometimes. We do need to have the time, and also, like you said, in the beginning, you need to have that easing in time. So being patient, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And you need to test the lighting as well to make sure that that it's working. So it takes a little. It definitely takes a little bit of time, and especially if you say that you don't really know the photographer, and it just takes a little bit of conversation, a little bit of time, and just to make it easier.
So instead, in terms of putting time aside for a photo shoot, I mean, headshots can come to your studio, probably get those done. But what about a bigger set for someone who, say, an entrepreneur? How many photos would you recommend that they have in the end, and how long do you think they should put aside to do the photo shoot?
I don't know. It could be just, they might just need maybe 5 images. So that would be more about having a 90-minute photo shoot. But it could also be, maybe 15 images. That would be nearly half a day, or a full day photo shoot. So it's really about what they want to create. I definitely would recommend that somebody has at least 1 image of themselves on each page of the website, and an image which is different, because it takes about 20 times for someone to connect with a brand. And they might get a little bit bored if they see the same image everywhere. So to bring just a little bit of variety would be, at least I would say, a minimum of 5 images would be great. And then it depends. If it's a large entrepreneur, or if they have a team and they want to show the behind the scene, if they really want to create a lot of content for their social media, for their blogs, for their newsletters, for images on the website, instead of using generic stock photography, I would definitely recommend either having a half day or a full day photo shoot. And this is something that we curate a lot of content, so they can use it over the next 3-6 months or even more. And they have images they can reuse all the time.
Do you ever do photo shoots where you're taking 2 different kind of personal brands of the same person? Someone who works in corporate, for example, and also, say, is a musician, artist on the side. How do you balance the different kind of personal brands that they have in the photo shoot? Have you ever come across that?
That's quite interesting. I haven't done this. I haven't done something like this, but I have done recently. I photographed a woman. She wanted to have pictures for her brand, but she also wanted to have pictures to celebrate her 50th birthday. So we started with the more serious, I think, the personal branding, and then we had and then we could move on to her private portraits, which she wanted something much more glamorous. So it's really about defining what's the most important of the two, and really setting out. Definitely, for me, I would start with the more serious one, I would say, and then we can be much more creative with even, for example, if somebody is a musician, we can be much more creative with the second part.
Oh, that's so fun. So how did it go in the end? How did that photo shoot go?
It went really well. She had an amazing experience. She was really, really happy. She said at the beginning she was pretty nervous, and she didn't feel great before the photo shoot, but she changed. It also changed the way she looked at herself, and that was really a great experience.
Do you need more support with your personal branding? Kaitlin Zhang is a CEO of Oval Branding based in London, UK, and we provide personal branding services for a select number of private clients to help you reach your goals faster. Email us at info@ovalbranding.com for a consultation today.
I sometimes underestimate how important these photos are just for me to keep in some ways. So that kind of has a chronicle of my career in some ways, and seeing the kind of transition from working in a company to those images that I had for that, to having my own business and starting out doing different things, and then moving on to having a business that's been running for a couple of years. To me, that series of photos actually really means a lot to me. So how's that been for you in terms of working with different age groups? Do you see them sort of seeing it as a way of chronicalizing their milestones in life, for example?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think this might be more relevant for private portrait session, but it's really about celebrating who you are. And you might want to celebrate having a specific birthday, or maybe celebrating something really special that's at a time in your life. So, yeah, it's really what I call celebration photoshoot. And these are really important because you're also walking out of the photoshoot having a boost of confidence, and also you get a milestone, you get some legacy about celebrating this specific moment in your life, and you can look at it back and think, oh my gosh, yeah, I did this was amazing, and I can move on from this now.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So you're a photographer. Who takes your photos then?
Oh my gosh. I had a personal branding photo shoot 2 years ago, and it was really, really great because I'm still using the images. I had a good idea of what I wanted, and she really helped me to create what I wanted. So, I wouldn't have a selfie or anything. It's really difficult to, and I wanted to create a proper story. So we worked in my studio, but we also went out in London. So I had different things I wanted to reflect in the photo shoot.
Excellent. That sounds fun. I always wondered about that. How do photographers get their photos taken?
Yeah, I think you need another photographer, and because honestly, I couldn't imagine doing the photo shoot myself. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So you need the help of somebody else. Yeah.
Sounds good. And what would you say to clients who are quite critical of their body image, especially for women? That seems to be an issue sometimes.
Yeah.
When they ask you to really do some serious photoshopping to make them thinner or whatever, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think it's really about celebrating who you are now. It's really about building your confidence in front of the camera. Of course, I can help them by certain posing. I wouldn't recommend, I'm not going to do extreme Photoshop. But also, if they do these images, first of all, to celebrate themselves, who they are. But also, if they do it for their brand, as I explained, if they do it for their brand, as I explained, it's not just about them, but it's really about giving them an opportunity to connect with their audience. Yeah. And it's really, I wouldn't say putting them out of the picture, but it's really about you have an important message to give. You really have something to say. You have something to share with the world. Can you imagine if you don't share this message with the people, what they're going to lose out on? So it's really about thinking, you have this value. You really, really transform maybe somebody's life. You're going to help maybe other businesses. But it's really about what you want to put out there, your value, and not just about how you look. And I think if you feel confident in your skin, even if you're 5-10 pounds more, it's really going to show up. And it's really what I see. People who are confident, you don't look if they're big, if they're too big, if they're overweight. You're attracted by their confidence. So I think it's really about building that confidence up and showing it in your pictures, and really thinking about what value am I giving out there.
Yeah, that's so true. I think when you put the focus on the value you're adding to your audience, it puts a little bit less of the spotlight off of you to have to be perfect. And also no one's perfect. And
no, exactly. Yeah. And I think for me, I'm attracted with, I think confidence is like, it's really attractive, honestly. And we don't really look if the people are large or small. What we want something of them because they're confident, and we want to be like this as well. So I think this is the first advice I would give.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Really learned a lot about photo shoots and working with a personal branding photographer like you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Kaitlin, for inviting me. I love talking about personal branding, and this has been a wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much for sharing it with your audience. And
where can people connect with you? What's your website or social media?
So for the personal branding, I have a website which is called London personalbrandingphotography.com. And otherwise, they can find the full website on the rachelvogeleisen.com. And the Instagram is the same handle, it's rachelvogeleisen.com. So they can find me also on LinkedIn on the London Personal Branding Photographer.
Perfect. We'll see you there and on your socials then.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me. It has been wonderful. Thank you, Kaitlin.
No problem. This episode is produced by Oval Branding, a London-based award-winning branding agency that serves corporate clients and personal clients around the world. Visit ovalbranding.com to contact us about your next marketing project. I am Kaitlin Zhang. Thank you for listening.